Oh shit! I fucked up now. Fuck.
What happened?
I didn't have your screen maximized. Now I have it maximized.
Try one more time.
Yeah, we don't have to slate.
I got a system overload.
It's waiting to connect.
We got it on the last one.
I'm not hearing that.
Oh yeah, it wants me to log in again. Shit. Listen to.
That's not good.
What?
Son of a bitch. There, got it. It's coming through. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the
Mixorcist, guys. Hey, what's going on, EB?
Not much, CW. What's shaking? Anything new and exciting?
Let's see. Nothing new, really. I heard the local drive-in's playing The Lost Boys tonight, so I'm thinking about heading out there. Do you remember that movie?
I certainly do. Kiefer Sutherland?
Shot in the beach town of Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah.
That's their claim to fame, apparently. And it's a very stylistically interesting film. It's got some serious vibe, and it represents a cool time in horror history when everything kind of had to be funny. So you got the two Coreys in there, and it's like a Goonies reunion, basically. But in the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, all the horror movies had an element of humor to them. From the zombie movies to the high gore movies like Reanimator, anything that ended in Living Dead was half of a comedy show. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Friday the 13th Part 5 and After. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Ridiculous movie where Jason wasn't really in it.
And I mean... They always would say, I remember even back in the 70s, the movie Carrie was listed as a comedy horror. And of course, when you're that young,
interesting.
You go, how could it be funny and scary at the same time?
Right.
But of course it is.
It's so interesting because you mentioned the 70s movies, because if you think about Jaws, The Omen, Exorcist, Shining, it's all about something unusual in a normal place. You got a hotel, but it's haunted. You got a presidential candidate, but his kid's the devil, right? Like you had those weird juxtapositions. And then the slasher movies hit in the 80s and horror kind of changed, right? So I don't know, from the 80s movie, aside from Reanimator, it's hard to pick a favorite. From the late 80s, that's a real tough one. I have to think about that one. It
is. But late 80s, I'll think about it. Maybe we'll come back to that at the end here.
We might have
put that in the back.
It's like Reanimator's 85. Oh, here's a piece of horror news. I heard from Barbara Crampton that From Beyond they're no longer shipping it on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's sad.
So you can't get that on Apple. You can't get that on Netflix. So if you want a copy before the prices go up or whatever, and become a collector's item, get your copy now.
That's it.
It's not a great film, but it's, Stuart Gordon with Jeff Combs and Barbara Crampton, killer film.
It's not a bad film. We have a super special treat. Take a look at this. This is from a company that has been just getting my attention more and more recently. It's DiBiQuadro is the name of the company. And the name of the plugin we're going to take a look at today is MercuryRec. And it is a virtual guitar preamp, I guess is probably the best way to put it. You don't get speaker sims with this.
We're both axe men, right? We're both axe men. We're both hatchet men. We're both guitar players, so we got a love for tone. Like this is a mezza boogie, is it?
Yeah, it's a rectifier of some description. This is the second amp that they've released. I guess I'll give it. Well, actually, it's not even the second one. I'll give a bit of history on them. Is that when I first became aware of them, they were making profiles and Nebula. They were Nebula developers. So they made some ICQs, and then they made one called Virgo, which I guess I could even show you that. But Virgo is for Nebula, which is like basically a Fender Fender Blackface 65.
Yeah, I think you played that for me once.
This is like a dead clean amp. I mean, this is one of the best sounding amps I have, but it doesn't really have its own distortion. It has harmonics, but not like waveform clipping or whatever. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if they had that? Well, it turns out what DiBiQuadro ended up going and doing was starting to develop their own amplifiers, which have loads of distortion in them. And they're, I don't know how to put it. The way they describe their technology is that they spent a long time developing ways to solve equations, the numerical equations that you have to do when you're simulating a circuit. You end up with all these complicated nonlinear differential equations and
random behaviors. I think you hurt my head real bad. Wow.
So you got really great sounding distortion, really complex to my ears. It sounds very real, very amp-like, and the other channels on here are no exception. But let me quickly run down. You get 3 channels: clean, vintage, and modern, just like some of the amps have. You get on the clean, you get a push, which just gives it a little more drive and saturation. Let's try without the push. Let me try to find a clean example here, actually. I think this is clean. Yeah. So here's clean. Let's increase the gain. And I'm going to put the push on. You can hear all this extra distortion.
Oh, yeah.
So see, even the clean channel has... That might have enough for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the vintage, which you've heard. Let's try some heavy guitar for the modern sound. Let's see if I can find something heavy here. This is 7-string. A little bit out of tune, I think, this one. So again, I apologize, but... So there's your tone right there, your kind of modern rectifier high gain tone. I think they did a really good job on this, right?
I do too. So let me ask you a question, because I don't have the plugin myself. Right. What's could you then, is it CPU intensive to a point where you couldn't drop your latency down to 10, 20, 50 worst case and play through it? Like, do you have to go in direct, record dry, and then do this in post, or can you play through it?
I have played through the other one, the one that they put out before this, Saturnello. And what this says, that gets into my next topic, actually, about the oversampling. That this plugin is capable of extreme oversampling, and that's not for real-time use. But if you take the oversampling off, you can get some pretty low. I was able on a fast computer to pretty much get a latency low enough that I could, play with that track with it, whatever, and not really notice any problems. But again, I got fast machines, so I think it also will depend on your hardware.
Your mileage may vary, type deal.
Yeah.
Nice dark tone, like it's good. It's got that, down below, that nice chug, that spongy chug down on the bottom that you would expect out of a modern high gain. And I mean, if you're tuning into this show because you love, doing country, this may not be your favorite episode guitar wise, but for me, like, this is my kind of music. So I really dig that tone. And to be honest, I'm not a mezzo boogie freak. Like, I prefer a Marshall. I like Marshalls, I like Engels, I like Fenders, I like anything, but mezzo never really captured my imagination in a big way, but that's a really nice tone. What do you think of it? Yeah,
I tend to agree. I haven't had much experience in the real world with real mezzos other than mixing bands that played with them and they had some reasonable sounds. But for myself playing, I've always kind of been a Marshall guy. I kind of always thought, I don't know if I need to go there or whatever. And frankly, a lot of the amp sims that came out, and they even some of the ones that say mezzo boogie right on them, and they didn't impress me that much. But this is, frankly, I think it's a bit of a different level. Really nice,
I agree.
really nice sounds on here. And
I did notice when you were on the semi-clean ish tones in the breakup channel 1, whatever you called it, that in addition to the nice round bottom, there was some that high end sparkle that you want on dirty breakup. That was actually quite pleasant, highly usable, even outside the metal realm, I would dare say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's again part and parcel of the versatility of these. And I suppose that the Saturn, the Marshall one, would be maybe even a bit closer for that. But this is no slouch in this department. It's capable of very clean, and that half breakup. Yeah. Vintage. You can go extreme with the modern. And if that's not enough for you, they have an entire tweaking section. And this is definitely by far the feature that makes this plugin stand out to me. Is the thing that made, when this came out, I just bought it based on their last amp and what you can do with it. I'm going to bring up this tweaking section so that you can see what's going on here. So is
this cabinet and pre, or do you need to do your own impulses for cabinets?
You need to do your own cabinets. Yeah.
Okay.
So
got it. So this is just modeling the pre-power section, or
I don't even think it models the power section. I think it's just a preamp.
Got it.
Okay. Which is fine because impulse responses. It's not too hard to get a hold of those, right? So
agreed.
So.
Well, I know all about what you want to know all about.
So here is the tweaking section, and this is where the craziness begins, and this is where you could spend a lifetime playing with this thing.
That's the fun of it.
You have different pages here. So there's the first section to tone stack, second tube, third tube, and then the presence circuit. So let's say, for instance, you want to go to the tone stack and you want to. I want to use this as a bass amp. It's not going low enough or something. Well, if you know your way around, or if you're just in the mood for experimenting, then you can actually change the ohm resistance on each resistor, the capacitance of each capacitor. You can change the voltage that goes to each tube. Here's like the first preamp tube. You can change the voltage. You want it more distorted, you could drop that. You could maybe get like a Variac effect or something, like say what Van Halen used to do. Works really well, but it's if you're not familiar with it, you're going to find it's sort of hit and miss, right? There's no. Although DiBiQuadro have been pretty good about on Saturn, they posted a few things on the forums there saying, hey, if you want to change the mid range, or if you want some more bass, or if you want some more distortion out of the clean channel, here's how you do it. Here's where you adjust in the tweaking section.
That's fun.
So I'm not going to mess with the tweaking now. I just want to show you that it's there, and I have messed with it, and I have gotten like some pretty cool tones that are not the same as what you get right out of the box. And that's just for those, sorry to interrupt, but for those who don't do guitars as much as they do, they're more into the recording side. For guitarists, these kinds of mods, like this is the holy grail, right? So dudes will swap out resistors and caps and all kinds of stuff to try to get the ideal tone. In fact, even in the studio realm, a lot of tube gear that you buy to keep prices low, they'll put a stock Chinese tube in it, and the first thing you do is go and replace it. Same thing with microphones, right? So this tweakability may seem like crazy, satanic, ridiculous overkill, like a sickness, and it is.
Your mother's in here with us, Karis. Would you like to leave a message? I'll see that she gets it.
But for guitar heads, this is it. This is what we do.
This is totally what we do. We always fuck with the stuff, and this way you're not going to get electrocuted either. So you saw those pages with has 3 tubes in it, because this is the clean channel that we were looking at. So tube 1 of the clean channel, tone stack of the clean channel, tube 2 and 3, and then the presence knob. Then you can also go say to the vintage channel, and you got 4 tubes in the vintage channel. So see how it changed colors there too. That's just to remind you of what you're working on.
Right.
You got 4 tubes, of which of course you can change all that stuff if you want, and then the tone stack. And the same thing with the modern channel. 4 tubes also. Is that what did I see there? Yeah, same idea. I mean, just different circuits, right? Of course, because they're different channels. And then finally you get the nonlinear solver. And you can actually, and I don't understand what this is, and I have never messed with it. You can change apparently the way that it solves distortions, and you get different. How do I describe it? Different parameter settings that you could save. And they actually have a few that it comes with for different types of 12AX7s. At least the Saturn does. I guess they've stuck with the 12AX7 standard here. In Saturn they have like a vintage one as well, and if you switch that around, it does change the amp, the sound of the amp, quite a bit. Now, also in here is oversampling, and I don't even know where that is. So if you're an aliasing hound and you're convinced that the reason that guitar sims don't sound real is because of all that horrible aliasing. I mean, if this
is your salve.
This is your salve, because it has capability of extreme oversampling up to 8,192 times.
Damn. That's hefty.
But not only will it do it in the plugin, what they also include is an offline renderer.
Oh,
which
sweet.
is another piece of software. Yeah. So there we go. This is their offline renderer. What you can do is you load the files that you want to render, presumably DI files. You load a whole list of them because it'll do the batch rendering. You can tweak right in the renderer. I haven't messed with that. But you get all, cool. Your settings, of course. So what you would do is you'd get a sound, save the setting in the plugin, and then you can open it up here. And you do as many files as you want. Say you want to add a whole album's worth of stuff, and you could do that probably in the course of a night or something, and you could have it all like super pristine, not an alias in sight. Now, but that's said, on DiBiQuadro's site, they have an ear test there. If you have to look around a little bit, but you can find it, and it's an ear test. And what it is it's their other amp, Saturn, and there's two examples, and one has no oversampling, and the other one, I believe, they set to maximum. And the question was, can you hear the difference? Which one's which? Okay. And I kind of thought that maybe I could, but I don't think I could. So, I say this all the time. At the end of the day, once it's buried in a mix and been EQ'd with a whole bunch of either better gear, inferior gear, as the case may be, and then goes through 75-cent converters in your stock smartphone headphones, the chances are excellent that nobody will know the difference. But of course, to us tone hounds, that really doesn't matter. That's no kind of excuse, right? So you and I both know that there's been plenty of times, even on this show, where we've had the plugin disabled and we're like, oh, that sounds way better. It's actually off. You're twisting knobs and going that's messed up. How about over here? And
you hear it kicking in there. Yeah, it's not. But that's because we're really old and pretty foolish. Foolish. But in this case, it'd be worth it. Everyone maybe post a link or something like that so people can go and try. It's like a blind test. You can't tell which. Yeah,
I'll try to find that, and I will try to put a link for that page in the video because
it'd be fun.
You talking to me? You talking to me? I'm the only one here.
So is there more to hear? Like, is there more stuff you can show us so we can really bite into the tone here or what?
We did clean, vintage, modern. We did the oversampling. We did the tweaking, in terms of what we covered. There's like a Joe Satriani kind of
let's hear it.
Sound. That's not it. That was more of the Van Halen one, I think. So there you go. Nice. Because, of course, Joe used messes around that time, right? And I don't know what else to say. Maybe we should just keep this one short and sweet and just say, go check out DiBiQuadro. They're making some really fantastic stuff. I think very flexible, very good sounding tools. And like I said, when this came out, I bought it based on the quality alone of their last amplifier. Yeah. Now this one right here, I believe right now is only available for Windows. So you might want to check out Saturn LO, which is the previous amp, which I believe is available for Mac now. And it'll be just a matter of time until they have this too for Mac.
Okay. What I love about these guys, and thanks for walking us all through it, but what I love about these guys is that they're pushing the envelope of what guitar modeling could be. Mm-hmm. And so, if you go back 10 years when, maybe more than that, maybe like 14, 15 years when Line 6, that was considered the holy grail of modeled tone. But now the stuff that's happening on computer again, it's fascinating. So these guys are really pushing the limits of realism. Like, to me, that sounds really good. Awesome. Hey, man, thanks for walking us through it. This sounds great. Guys, check them out if you didn't know about this brand. They're doing great work, so go out there and support them.
Hey, man, let's get a chant going before we sign off. How about we go?
Sure,
dead,
what kind of chant?
Dead.
I love it.
That's it.
Also see our opening sequence. Okay, dude. Great job.